Hi, scholars and parents. This is Ms. Palmer. I'm about to do an example from homework 6.5. Today we learned about the thousandths place. So I'm going to do the first page of your homework and you're going to do the back on your own. I may have forgotten to tell you this in class, and I'm sorry. On the back there is a mistake, and so you can change 4 to a 3, just like this. Okay, now we're going to jump into page 1. First question says, shade in 1 and 79 thousandths. So before we start shading, I want you to think about a couple things. First, the important thing about decimals is knowing how to say them and then knowing what that means in terms of place value. So this time it's already in word form, so it's telling us how to say it, 1 and 79 thousandths. I think the easiest form to put it in after this is fraction form, because I know I have 1 and I have 79 thousandths. So I'm going to put it in fraction form just to clue me in. Then I also want to make sure I know how to write it as a decimal. For that, I'm going to put it on my place value chart. I have my ones, my tenths, my hundredths, and my thousandths. And I know my decimal point goes here. I know I have 1 whole. And I know I have 79 thousandths. Whenever we say a decimal, we always say it starting with the whole number. So we say it as 1. The decimal point is really like and, so 1 and. Then we have to say the number that comes after the decimal point just as it's written. So we say this as 79. We don't worry about the 0 because it comes in front, so it doesn't change the value. 79. And then we say the name of the last place value. So this is thousandths. 1 and 79 thousandths. The reason I just went through that is because I want to make sure that what I drew on my place value chart matches the word form. 1 and 79 thousandths is the same as this number, as long as you follow these rules for how to say it. Your whole number, your decimal is your and, say the name of the number comes after the decimal point, then say the name of the last place value digit. 1 and 79 thousandths. Because those match, I know that it's correct. Okay, now we're ready to shade. I know I have 1 whole. I'm going to shade in the entire thing. Then I have 79 out of 1,000. Here, 79 little pieces in this hole. Of 1,000, I'm sorry, I have 1,000 little pieces in this hole, and I need to shade 79 of them. I know that each of these boxes is 10. I'm going to count by tens. Shade 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then when I get to the next box, I'm only going to shade 9 out of the 10 in this box. This will be equal to 1 and 79 out of 1,000, or 1 and 79 thousandths. The next question asks us to write it in fraction form, and we already did that. So we know that it is 1 and 79 out of 1,000. This thousandth, this is the place value. The place value, where the last digit is, just becomes our denominator. If our last digit was in the hundredths place, we'd put 100 down here. If our last digit was in the tenths place, we would put a 10. The last digit is how you say the number, and it's also the denominator. Okay, next question says, represent 2 and 56 thousandths in 3 ways. First as a decimal, then an expanded form, and then as fraction notation. So as a decimal, we know we have 2 wholes. The and is our decimal point. And then we have 56 thousandths. So we have to go all the way to our thousandths place, which means we have to have a third digit, but the number can only be 56. That means we have to put a 0 in the tenths place. So it's 2.056. We say this 2 and 56 thousandths. Think about it up here. We had our whole number, the and, said the name of the number, and said the name of the last place value. This is exactly the same. 2 wholes, 2 and 56 out of 1,000, 56 thousandths. Expanded form is pretty simple. We just write each place value separately, 2, then a plus sign. There are 0 in the tenths place, so 0.0, plus. There are 5 in the hundredths place, so 0.05, and there are 6 in the thousandths place, so 0.006. 2 and 0 tenths and 5 hundredths and 6 thousandths. When you say it like that, 2 and 0 tenths and 5 hundredths and 6 thousandths, it becomes very easy to put it into fraction notation. 2 and 0 tenths and 5 hundredths and 6 thousandths. Let's see what our last question is asking us to do. It says, in number 2, what is the value of the 5 in word form? The value of the 5. Let's look up the 5. The 5 is in the hundredths place. So it is 5 hundredths. Then it says, in number 2, what is the value of the 6 written as a fraction? The 6 is in the thousandths place, so it is 6 thousandths. I wanted to go back up and talk about one common mistake that I've seen often. Up here, when it said 2 and 56 thousandths, a lot of people want to write it like this, 2 and 56, and then just put something in the thousandths place. This isn't right, though, because the way we would say this 2 and 560 thousandths, because that is this number that comes after the decimal point. That's 560. That's not 56. So we have to make sure that the number that we say matches. So this is 2 and 56 thousandths. This we would say 2 and 560 thousandths, so we know it's not right. This number we say 2 and 56 thousandths. Try practicing with the back. Call us if you have questions. Thank you.